Jim Caviezel says that The Passion of the Christ 2 is going to be the biggest film ever. In 2004, Mel Gibson brought us The Passion of the Christ, featuring Jim Caviezel as Jesus of Nazareth. It went on to become the highest-grossing R-rated movie of that era, with worldwide grossed over $612 million. Right now, the title for the highest-grossing R-rated movie is held by Joker, with over $1.08 billion. However, this might soon change as Deadpool and Wolverine is expected to earn around $1.03 billion. But things could shift again with Joker 2, Joker Folie à Deux, a musical thriller starring Lady Gaga and Joaquin Phoenix, set to release on October 4th, 2024. Recently, Caviezel announced that work on a highly ambitious sequel is in progress. This update on The Passion of the Christ 2 comes from Breitbart. He revealed that Gibson has sent him the third draft of the script for The Passion of the Christ Resurrection, and Caviezel believes it's going to be the biggest film ever. No one expected The Passion of the Christ to be such a box office hit. Gibson's portrayal of the last 12 hours of Christ's life resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. Previously, writer Randall Wallace also hinted at a sequel, calling it the Mount Everest of movies. It's something we talk about a lot. My major in college was religion, and I did a year seminary afterward. My major focus of study was the resurrection. That is the Mount Everest of movies, and we are in discussions about it a lot. It's a highly charged one, so we keep our cards close to our chest. For Jim Caviezel, playing Jesus turned out to be a double-edged sword. While it catapulted him to global fame, it also typecast him, making it tough for audiences to see him in other roles later on. Despite this, Caviezel stands by his decision to take on the role. He explained, "I had no choice but to defend it and fight to survive. The film blew up, but instead of more work, I found myself off the studio list. It was gone. I see my acting talent as a gift from God, not something I gave myself. Even though faith felt much larger than the industry or politics, it was a big part of why I did it." Since The Passion of the Christ first premiered, the world has changed significantly. The film sparked controversy, particularly over its depictions of violence and its portrayal of the Jewish community. Despite the criticism, Caviezel believes that no other movie has filled the gap it left in cinema history, and he's eager to address that. "It's so crucial right now," he said. "These kinds of films just aren't made anymore. Nowadays, it's all about Marvel movies. Superman, not Jesus. I got to play the greatest superhero there ever was." For The Passion of the Christ 2 to become the biggest film ever, it won't just have to outdo the superhero movies dominating the R-rated box office charts. It will also need to overcome the lingering allegations of anti-Semitism that have followed the original film. Before the film's release, The Passion of the Christ faced significant criticism for its perceived anti-Semitic content. This controversy led 20th Century Fox to pass on distributing the movie, influenced by a protest outside the News Corporation building and warnings from New York Assemblyman Dov Hikind that the film would harm Jews worldwide. A joint committee from the U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Anti-Defamation League reviewed the script, calling it one of the most troubling texts they'd seen in 25 years due to its potential to fuel anti-Semitism. They highlighted that the storyline, portraying Jews as relentlessly pursuing Jesus, contradicted the Roman Catholic Church's teachings from Vatican and risked undermining decades of progress in repudiating anti-Semitism. The ADL also warned that without sound scholarship, the film could misrepresent history and incite hatred. Rabbi Daniel Lapin criticized the ADL's stance, suggesting that it implied renouncing one's faith was the only way to avoid criticism. In The Nation, reviewer Katha Pollitt argued that Mel Gibson's film violated numerous guidelines set by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops in their 1988 criteria for portraying Jews in passion dramatizations. She pointed out that the film featured bloodthirsty Jews, depicted the Jewish priests with exaggerated stereotypical features, and portrayed Herod Antipas and his court as oily-haired Epicene perverts. In contrast, the good Jews looked like Italian movie stars, such as Monica Bellucci, who played Magdalene. Jesuit priest William Fulco, who translated the film's Hebrew dialogue, disagreed with Pollitt's assessment and dismissed concerns that the film accused the Jewish community of deicide. In The Guardian, Jewish biblical scholar and historical Jesus expert Geza Vermes wrote a critical review of the movie, describing it as horribly gory, historically wrong, and likely to inspire Judeophobia. Vermes highlighted that the real issue wasn't Gibson's intentions, but the failure to prevent certain visual images from inciting Judeophobia. He noted that in the film, Caiaphas and the other priests seemed to relish Christ's defeat, allowing their guards to beat him openly, a depiction that diverges from the Gospels, where the priests are shown as following legal procedures and rejecting false testimony against Jesus. Vermes warned that these cinematic choices could provoke vengeful sentiments. One scene in The Passion of the Christ sparked controversy due to its perceived anti-Semitism. In the scene, Caiaphas declares, "His blood is on us and on our children," a verse that have some historically interpreted as a curse on the Jewish people. Certain Jewish groups requested that this line be removed from the film, but only the subtitles were removed, leaving the original dialogue in the Hebrew soundtrack. When asked about this scene, Mel Gibson explained that he initially wanted to keep it in, but felt pressured to reconsider, fearing backlash. However, he ultimately decided to include it because he believed in its truth and didn't want others dictating what could or couldn't be said. Gibson further clarified in an interview that while he believes in the passage, he doesn't interpret it as a curse specifically targeting Jews. Instead, he sees it as addressing all of humanity, symbolizing collective responsibility for Jesus' death. The allegations of anti-Semitism surrounding the film were later satirized in the South Park episode The Passion of the Jew, where the characters react to the film in various ways, including Eric Cartman leading a neo-Nazi rally and Kyle Broflovsky having nightmares about Jewish responsibility for Jesus' death. The controversy surrounding the film's anti-Semitism intensified after Gibson's 2006 DUI arrest in Malibu, where he made anti-Semitic remarks to the arresting officer, claiming that the Jews are responsible for all the wars in the world, and asking the officer if he was Jewish. These remarks further fueled the debate over the film's content and Gibson's intentions. For The Passion of the Christ Resurrection to have a shot at becoming the biggest film ever, surpassing R-rated hits like Joker and the soon-to-be top Deadpool and Wolverine, it has to tackle some major hurdles, especially avoiding the controversies that hit the first film. They also need to be aware that the cultural and social landscape has changed since the first film came out. Audiences today are more conscious of representation issues and are less tolerant of anything that seems to marginalize or demonize any group. To connect with a global audience, Resurrection should focus on universal themes like redemption and hope, rather than revisiting the divisive aspects of its predecessor. And lastly, to beat the current R-rated box office champs, the film needs to appeal to a broader audience, including people who don't usually watch religious films. This might mean investing in top-notch production, compelling storytelling, and the emotional and spiritual sides of the story, making it engaging and accessible for a diverse crowd. In short, if The Passion of the Christ Resurrection wants to become the biggest film ever, it has to learn from the past, avoid the controversies of the first film, and aim to tell a story that brings people together. Well, that's it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more updates on the latest movies and shows. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss an update from us. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.